that money to last as long as we do. Isn't that the biggest fear in life, is not passing away, but actually, am I going to run out of money? Welcome to our show. It's Retirement Compass Radio Show, and I've got John Ternus and Mr. Gove on the program with me. I'm Jackie Selby. How are you both today?
Doing well. How are you, Jackie?
Good. And Mr. Ternus, you didn't tell us that you have a famous relative.
I'm not related anyway. From what I understand, some of the Ternuses went to California back in the day, and then the rest are here in Nebraska. So,
what, like in the 20s to avoid the Dust Bowl?
I'm not sure when it happened, but...
So it could be a distant relative, is what you're saying.
If you're in the IT firm and you're not looking for financial advice, you do not need to add me on LinkedIn.
So people are adding you because of the new CEO of Apple, right?
Yes, I've received many requests. And
truly? You're not pulling my leg?
No, I've received a lot, and some of them I accepted because they're here. I'm like, okay, let's expand the network. But a lot of them I'm not, because they're in Saudi Arabia or India or somewhere else. So,
all right, let's get back to our retirement discussion, because retirement isn't about building wealth anymore. It's about turning it into income. I know that you guys enjoy speaking on this subject. It's part of the plan. It's part of one of the points on the compass. So let's get to it with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. So our working years, Mr. Gove, here we go. We're automatically receiving income from the employer and maybe bonuses or things of this nature, and it shows up in our account. Well, what's going to happen when we retire? Where's our money?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's something that everybody needs to consider. Obviously, they're not going to pay you anymore if you don't work there any longer. So you have to have a plan before you get there of, how are you going to pay your bills? How you've kind of climbed this mountain. You've put money in your retirement accounts. Maybe it's a Roth IRA for your traditional 401k. Maybe it's just in the bank. Now we got to figure out, how do we come down the other side? How do we take money out of these accounts in the most efficient way? And kind of to your point, how do we do it in a way that allows us to retire and stay retired, so we don't run out of money, we don't outlive everything that you saved? Because in that situation, think about being 80 years old and in a position where you have to go back to work. Nobody wants to do that.
Well, I just can't imagine if that's the case, and we're 60 now, say, for example, or 62 or 65, and then when you're 80, what job? Think about the future. In 15 years, what jobs are there going to be for 80-year-olds? I have to ask you.
There might be, I don't know, Walmart.
No, they're going to have a robot out there.
You won't even have to go to Walmart anymore.
No, Walmart is coming to you anyway.
I think that's one of the biggest fears in retirement as well, is running out of money. Well, you're not just running out of money, you're also may not have the ability to go back to work and earn income. So now you're out of money, but you retired maybe early, and you just don't have that ability to work to earn that money. So
it's important to have a team working with you and for you to and through retirement. But prior to retirement, you got to get a plan together, I feel like, because there is a lot of information with technology and so on and so forth. So I'm going to hand out the number, 866-295-5146. Call and talk to someone and get on the schedule and say, hey, listen, we want to retire in this year or that year, 2026. Is it too late to retire in 2026?
No, plenty of time.
Oh, good. Plenty of time? We're halfway through.
7 months left, Jackie.
Yeah. Well,
I can get this done.
You can get this done?
Yeah.
Are there any factors that would prevent someone from retiring this year if they didn't maybe save enough? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's worth looking into. It's never too early to plan for retirement. And again, you don't know what situation you're walking into without digging into it and finding out, okay, have I saved enough? That's a very common question. A lot of people deal with that. Did I save enough? What's interesting is most of the time you probably have. It's a matter of how much do you need from what you've saved. It's really important that you make the right decision when it comes to Social Security, because for a lot of us, that's our biggest asset. So all of these things combined, maybe you have a pension, but at the end of the day, you've got to just put together a plan to see, before you pull the trigger and retire, to see if it's going to work, And we'll be honest with you. I've got some people Got some clients in Omaha where they wanted to retire at 65. And if they do, they could, but if they do, their plan it was like a 56% probability of success or mid 50s.
Well, that's not quite enough for me.
No, but so you're kind of rolling the dice.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get them to age 95 without running out of money. But if they just worked a couple more years, or he got a part-time job so we could defer his Social Security a couple more years, then it jumped over 80%.
Oh.
So having a conversation, knowing what you're walking into is obviously a really good idea because you're planning out the next 30 years of your life.
Sure.
You know, it's interesting when we look at vacations, you know, we plan out a vacation ahead of time and we spend time thinking about, okay, if I go on a cruise, what excursions do I want to do?
You bet.
Do I want to get the drink package?
Right.
You know, what's it going to cost? They nickel and dime you with all these different fees. What are the things that I want to see when we go there? Should we go a day early? Because believe it or not, if you're going on a cruise, if your flight's delayed, they're not waiting for you.
Nope.
So I would encourage you to go a day early. But like all these things we plan out, and that's for, you know, a 7-day cruise. Why would we not spend at least the same amount of time planning for our retirement when we're looking at the next 30 years of your life, where it means going back to work or not, you know, doing the things that you want to do for the rest of your life or not? There's really no reason not to do it.
Mm-hmm. And you can do it with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. I only gave the number once. Maybe I better repeat it. 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. And John, is it just beating a dead horse if I say to you, how important is it to convert our portfolio into a clearly defined plan?
Well, it is a dead horse, but we'll beat it one more time, Jackie.
All right.
But yes, it is very important to have that retirement plan. There's also a mental change where you've been saving your whole life, and now it's time to start withdrawing.
That's important, I think. That's so important.
Yeah, so you got to be able to make that shift as well of, okay, I'm all right if my portfolio, I start taking distributions from it, and I'm going to be fine with income, and what's the right amount to take as well.
In general, closing comments on this subject matter, Mr. Gove?
It all comes back to a plan. You know, we developed the Retirement Compass to help you, the consumer, put together a plan that's going to help you retire the way that you want to. It starts with an income plan. You know, we're looking at how much is your Social Security? When should you draw Social Security? Do you have a pension? Maybe you're renting out farm ground, whatever that is, that's in your income plan. Then we look at your investment plan. How do you invest your money in a way that allows you to be successful on your income plan? Then we look at taxes. We don't want to overpay on taxes. And we see that way too often where when you look at the amount of taxes that you're going to pay over your lifetime on your IRAs, 401ks, quick plug, go to stonebridgetaxbill.com and you can find out. We have to have a plan for that. Healthcare is very expensive. One of your biggest expenses in retirement is going to be healthcare. So you better plan for that. And then the last thing is legacy plan. If you're going to have money left over, some people say, you know what, I don't want to leave my kids a pile of money. But if you have money left over and you have a choice of, do I leave it to the IRS or do I leave it to my kids? 9 times out of 10, hopefully 10 times out of 10, you know, people are saying, I want to leave it to my kids.
All right.
So have a plan.
Have a plan. Get it here. 866-295-5146. Call Stonebridge. 866-295-5146. Be right back.
Is your retirement being eaten up by financial termites like hidden fees, inflation, and avoidable taxes? Call today for a complimentary financial review so we can help you root out these retirement killers.
Okay, it looks like you have a bunch of paperwork in front of you, Mr. Ternus. I want to talk about what you have prepared for the big program today, Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems, John Ternus and Jeff Gove. And it looks like a really good resource. I've been looking at the stonebridgetaxbill.com. At first, it scared me, Jeff, because people understanding how much taxes they're going to pay on their portfolio over the years.
Yeah, it is. It can be scary because it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. But if you don't have a plan, it could be disastrous. And you could be looking for work at 80 or moving in with your kids, your cousins, your who.
Yeah, and I don't want to scare people off from going to find out. It is scary, but that doesn't make it not there. It doesn't make it not real. So it gives you the ability to be proactive. There are things that you can do to, limit the taxation on your IRAs and 401ks, but you have to be proactive.
Yeah, it gets scarier in time.
Yeah.
Right.
The more you delay, it's
Right. The more you, just like anything, the more you put it off, the worse it's going to be because you've built it up now, and now it's really an issue. 4% rule, is this, are we talking about taking 4% out of our IRAs to meet our gap needs? Is that what the 4% rule?
all right, Jackie.
Right.
So the 4% rule has a lot of people don't understand where it came from and how it was all developed.
Well, lay it
A lot of
on
people
us.
Well, here it is.
Okay.
So a lot of people think that the 4% rule is, yes, I can take 4% out of my portfolio, 3% inflation, I have a 7% return, and my portfolio just stays where it is right now. The 4% rule actually goes back to 1994 by a gentleman named William Bingle. So he created the 4% rule. He didn't call it the 4% rule. He called it determining withdrawal rates using historical data. So he
All
went
right.
at the 4% rule at a scientific method and saying, hey, how much can I start withdrawing out of my portfolio the first year in retirement and then take out inflation-adjusted distributions every year to keep my standard of living, and what is the worst time to do that? But historically, what is the max I can do looking through all the data? And what he found was it was about 4%. And the worst time to retire, it wasn't during the Great Depression. He actually found it was in the 70s where the market was down and inflation was over 22%. So that was the worst time to retire in history. And that made 4% distributions over a 30-year period, and you never ran out of money. Now, the problems with the
Whoa,
4% rule.
really?
Yeah.
Even at the worst time.
The worst time, yeah. So it was in 73, 74,
Holy.
which he refers to as the Big Bang period, where stocks were down 37.2%,
Whoa.
and the change of inflation was up 22%. So that was the worst time in history. Actually, during the Great Depression, you had a deflationary period where the cost of goods were getting cheaper every year. So even though the market portfolio. So the worst time in history to keep up with your income needs was 4%. Now that leaves a lot on the table because that was the worst time in history. And even looking at further periods, like your portfolio is probably the same balance as when you started if you followed that 4% rule. So you need to make sure you keep that flexibility in your income plan and just don't stick to that 4% rule. And like I said, this came out in the Journal of Financial Planning in 1994. So he had DOS computers with the green flashy light, probably had some grunge music playing in the background when he was doing all this. But you got to think of the technological limitations he had back then. Mr. Bingle just wrote a book. He was released it last fall. And he found with further diversification, adding international stock, that 4% rule was actually 4.7. So it's just another case for further diversification in the portfolio. And with his latest book, he's still saying that 4% rule holds true. But there's also a lot of different ways to look at income planning instead of, I'm going to take this set amount out every month.
Sure. Are we in a worse position than the 1973 right now, economically?
Right now, according to Mr. Bingle's book that he just wrote, it's titled A Richer Retirement, Supercharging the 4% Rule. He doesn't think we're in a worse position now. One, we're not seeing the inflation. What he found in his whole book, the original article was about 8 pages. Now he wrote 300 pages on it. So a lot more research and a lot more charts that he has there. But he doesn't think we're in a worse place now, but it's the beginning and years of retirement that are most crucial to that 30-year retirement. Because you think if your market tanks when you're taking distributions that are increasing with inflation, it's not going to last as long. Go ahead.
No, I understand that. That's tricky because the first few years of retirement is when you want to spend the most.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's why you kind of look at you got your go-go years where you're looking to retire. So maybe the distribution rate that you're taking is 7-8% those first few years. And then you have your slow-go years which is maybe I'm not traveling as much, not doing as much. People are coming to visit me.
But higher healthcare costs.
That comes in the no-go years,
Okay.
where now you're not going anywhere. It's the end of life cycle, so those are more expensive. So that's why it's really important to not just go by the rules of thumb.
All right.
The 4% or the new 4.7 with further diversification in the portfolio, but actually having a plan for these are my goals. This is what I want to accomplish in retirement. So can I do these now? And am I still okay?
Mm-hmm. This is, I don't know, this is, he's dealing with, statistics and numbers, but is he really out here in the world? Here's the number for Stonebridge, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Am I the only one who feels that this, Jeff, do you feel the same way?
Yeah. So I was going to say the other thing that we need to consider is, those first few years of retirement can be the most important. When you look at from a sequence of returns perspective, and what sequence of returns means is, you can run a Monte Carlo simulation, which is running 1,000 different scenarios to get, different rates of return and different risk profiles and, maybe higher inflation, lower inflation, cutting Social Security, it stays the same. Lots of different variables. Mm-hmm. Those first few years of retirement are really important because that's when you're balanced. If you retire and you've got $1 million in your IRA, you've got $1 million in your IRA, right? So if you're taking out, 4% or 5% or 10%, if you listen to some people, they would tell you the safe return rate is, 8 to 10%. Mm-hmm. That's a massive mistake if you're going off of that. I don't think there's very many models that would show successful if you're taking out that much money. But
right. Okay.
let's say you're taking out 8% and the market goes down 20% in the first year. Are you going to adjust your income?
Right.
Those are the years that we want to be going and doing things, kind of like John was saying. Like, that's the go-go years.
Right. I was just going to open my calculator here
vacation?
And see.
Right. So now you're $1 million. You lost $200,000, right?
Right.
And you took out $80,000 from your portfolio if you're taking 8%. So now to recover that and to maintain that 8% is going to be a lot more difficult because you're taking out a big chunk. So there are other ways to do it, having, and we've talked about it 100 times on this show, having, that income bucket where
yes.
it doesn't matter what the market does. You're going to get your income on a monthly basis. Then we have money in that growth bucket that's invested in the market that, it's going to be more volatile. When the market goes up, it's going to go up. When the market goes down, you're going to be exposed. There are some things you can do to protect yourself there too. But the important thing is you're not taking money out of the market when the market's going down.
Okay. Right.
Because most people, if we say the 4% rule and we understand that you're taking 4% of your account balance every year. So that means if you're $1 million, you're getting 40,000. But the next year, if the market's down 20%, you're not still taking 40,000. We're adjusting your income. Most people don't want to do that, right? You want to go down to 32,000? Most people don't want to do that. That's not a fun conversation. So if you can have a plan where, we can take out the income that you need, get you what you need, and let your money in the market grow, that helps people sleep at night.
We don't want to see that balance go down. And the reason, Mr. Ternus, I was like, well, he's not living in the real world. I feel like it's only like 2.8% or something that's really sustainable if you're in the first few years. But market volatility is something that people just absolutely freak out about. And I know that you're a money wizard, especially with the taxes and the numbers and so on and so forth. But I want some leverage, gosh darn me.
Talk about real quickly, because we only got a couple minutes left, behavioral finance when it comes to the 4% rule. Because if you're trying to do this on your own,
okay, that's what I'm afraid
and
of.
you don't have the willpower to maintain,
or the team,
so
right, because
that willpower to maintain. Because, like we said, it's hard to start seeing your account balance drop down. And if you retired in that worst time, that 73, 74 time frame, well, are you going to still be able to take that $40,000 plus the cost of living increase and see your account balance drop down further? That's the beginning years of your retirement for that 73, 74. Are you going to be able to think that, yeah, if I do the 4% rule, I'm going to still be able to maintain my standard of living, especially when they're taking those hits the first year? Another thing is if you're just following the 4% rule and it had a really good year where you saw a 20% return, William Bingle's 4% rule says, I'm only taking out what I took last year plus the cost of living allowance in the next year either. So you're going to be able to pull back the reins or continue marching that horse down the line if you're just following that. So
right. So
that's where the clarity comes
very
in.
good.
Well, and just the fact of, are you going to be able to stay in the market? You know, from a behavioral finance standpoint, you know, we talked to some clients where when the market pulled back in March, I had a couple that said, you know, the market's down, I just want to pull my money out of the market. Well, if you pull your money out of the market and you're still trying to take 4% out, okay, you locked in a loss and you're taking more than you're making out.
All right. I'm going to stop you there. Move me to cash. 866-295-5146. Call Stonebridge so you avoid this pitfall if there is another dip here. 866-295-5146. Be right back on Retirement Compass Radio Show.
As Americans, we strive for better. From a better house to a better career to a better life for our children and grandchildren. Better has become the American way. When it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? Does it mean more income, a flexible lifestyle, better solutions? A better retirement begins with a financial plan. To get your complimentary written financial plan, call the number you see here. You only retire once. This is your opportunity to plan for better.
We want to get your legacy plan put together. Legacy Done Right is a report that you can get from Stonebridge Wealth Systems, and the number is 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. How does it work, Mr. Gove, the Legacy Done Right report?
Yeah, the Legacy Done Right report is actually looking at, you know, if you have IRA money, looking at, you know, do we do Roth conversions, utilize life insurance? It's going to compare different options for you. When you're looking at your estate plan, you can go to stonebridgelegacy.net. We've got a quiz that's going to go through your estate plan, and it's going to be several questions that you answer, and then it's going to give you a grade at the end that says, here's how prepared you are for the inevitable event of no longer being on this earth.
Yes.
But, you know, it's something that we all put off. You know, nobody likes to think about the day that you're going to die, you know, so it's one of those things. It's kind of like buying long-term care insurance. That's not really a sexy thing. Like, oh, I can't wait to go buy my long-term care insurance plan. Your will and your estate plan for a lot of people is the same way. But it is important that you have this stuff put together, that you take the time to go do it, because, you know, by not having a plan, you do have a plan, but it's the state that you live in that is deciding what happens with your assets. So go to stonebridgelegacy.net if you do have a plan and just see how prepared you are. If you don't have a plan, you know, give us a call or go to our website. We do estate planning workshops. So I'd encourage people to go to our website, look up upcoming events, and we do them in Kearney, Grand Island, Lincoln, and Omaha. On estate planning. There's typically going to be one a quarter roughly on estate planning. We do tax planning, general retirement, and then Social Security as well. So check that out as well.
And that's stonebridgelegacy.net, right?
That's the quiz. Yeah,
that's the quiz. Stonebridgelegacy.net. And the website for all things Stonebridge, stonebridgeiwm.com, stonebridgeiwm.com. And this will point you towards all the media, too, all the TV shows, the radio show, the podcast, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, and the YouTube channel where a lot of this great content is posted, and that is Stonebridge Wealth Systems on YouTube.
Yeah, and I would encourage everybody to go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel there.
Please.
What you're going to get there is this radio show. You actually get to see our smiling faces on YouTube. So see, John smiled. But you'll
was
also
hard,
get
but
to
he
see,
did it.
He did it. You'll also get to see how my studio is better than Tim's.
Oh dear.
So you get to see that, but also the TV show. And we produce a really good TV show talking about all the same financial topics. I'm sorry, you'll have to see Jeremy on there. He does the TV show with Tim. But yeah, it's really good. A lot of good information, lots of good feedback on the TV show. So
Great.
go check it out.
Go check it
on
out.
YouTube.
And
it's Stonebridge Wealth Systems is the channel.
right, Stonebridge Wealth Systems on YouTube, and please subscribe, as the young people say. All right, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146.
So I wanted to give you kind of an example of a client that I met with just yesterday. He listens to the show, so he's probably going to hear this. I won't name names.
Oh, come on.
Nope. But we talked about their estate plan or getting an estate plan put together a few years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago, and they recognized that last night. They said it's just something that they just haven't made a priority, but they need to.
Okay.
So they're actually getting with one of our the attorneys that we work with and getting their estate plan put together. But again, if something happened and you don't have that plan put together, then you're from a healthcare perspective, if something happens, it's got to go through the court system to figure out who's your POA. Like you're creating a mess instead of leaving, a nice benefit to your beneficiaries. So yeah, just go ahead and get your estate plan done.
Okay, and again, that number is 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Call Stonebridge.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Hey, welcome back to our show. It's Retirement Compass Radio Show. And if by chance you are searching for this to hear in podcast form on any place that you get your podcast, Spotify or Apple, it's called The Retirement Compass. The Retirement Compass. And you'll see Jeff Gove and Tim Kulhonik's face on the little avatar. Anyways, I'm Jackie Selby, and I have John Ternus here as well as Mr. Gove. So the goal isn't just income, but income that's going to adapt to whatever retirement brings us. I think that's where we should start on this segment, fellas. Where's retirement going to bring us? What are some of the things that you see from your clients? Jeff?
Jeff? Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know.
What did you even ask?
What are you asking?
Where's the question?
Yeah, what for?
Okay.
Yes, you wanted to adapt.
So the goal isn't just retirement income, but it's income that adapts to whatever retirement brings a person. And there are different stages. We talk about the go-go years and the no-go years, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not just investments and all that stuff, but is our plan resilient? How do we make it resilient, Mr. Gove?
You make it resilient by having a plan.
All right.
And the nice thing about the financial planning software that we use is we can test different scenarios. So I had a gal in this last week who she's actually still working, so we're not retired yet, but wanted to see, she wants to put up a shop on her property for all of the toys. And it's going to be, she thought about $30,000. So she wanted to see, am I throwing my retirement away by putting up this shop?
Oh.
Which is a valid question. And I'm glad that we're exploring that before you go spend the money, but I can plug that in before you take the money out to see what the impact is on that. So for them, not an issue at all. The other thing is, we're buying a car. Do we finance it? Do we pay it off? And it may be both. You take some out of your IRA to pay it down, and then you take the rest the next year to pay it off, just from a tax perspective. There's so many different things that can come up in retirement. We want you to, hopefully people retire early so their health is good and they can go do the fun things that they want to do. But things do come up. The couple I met with last night, their daughter, who's, I think she's 36, 37, is having twins, and she lives in Omaha. So they're going to be traveling from, further out west, the western part of the state, to go to Omaha probably pretty regularly. So that wasn't anticipated, but it's something they want to be able to do. So having the flexibility to do some of those things, there's some advisors out there, and I'm not beating anyone up, but where it's like, I'm going to put all of your money in this annuity, because you can't lose money. So that sounds great. Market goes up, you go up. Market goes down, you stay even. That's not the whole story. Market goes up, you go up to a cap. So right now the caps are still pretty good, and it is a safe investment. The biggest downside, though, is you can't get all of your money out. So guess what? For them, if they would have put all of their money into that annuity, they're not able to adapt to some of these things because their income is locked in. They can't get to more of their money without a penalty. They can't go to Omaha to see those babies. We got to be able to have a plan that can adapt as our life changes, because there's going to be a lot of unknowns, a lot of things that come up, and hopefully a lot of fun things that come up, some different goals that come up that you never thought about through your retirement.
So bottom line, it's probably not suitable to put all of your money into an annuity. And Stonebridge, I don't think you guys would suggest that kind of a thing, but because you look at the overall plan, and suitability is certainly one of them. And that's one of the points on the compass, right? To make sure suitability, should we add that one?
Yeah. John's really big on annuities. He's we got to rein him in sometimes.
No, there is a place for annuities.
Sure.
It shouldn't be on our side of the table. And I've seen it with other advisors, not naming names like Jeff said, but they will put way more than should be in annuities. And it takes away that flexibility in retirement, because when you're going into retirement, we're not saying, all right, make your plan, what vacations you want to take.
And that's it.
You're going to do vacations 5 years, right, and then you're going to do this, then you're going to relocate. No, your life changes. So you need to have that flexibility. And if you had 100% of your assets into an annuity, you're really capping your income for a year that you can receive, where maybe you are spending more in those go-go years and not as much in the no-go years or slow-go years. So you want to maintain that flexibility. And that also comes down to the buckets in which your assets are held. If everything's in IRA, well, every dollar is going to be taxable. Like Jeff said, if you were going to build a new house or that garage or shed, well, then you're having to take it all out that 1 year. You want to have flexibility with different types of accounts, whether that's a taxable brokerage account or a Roth IRA, where you can get funds out and do it deliberately and smart, so you're not paying as much in taxes. Because like we always say, it's not how much you have or how much you make, it's how much you get to keep. So there's a lot of different things going on in the background. And it's not just taking the money out of the account to buy that new shop or house. Mm-hmm.
No, I do want to say, if you're listening and you do have all of your money in annuities, because that's what was sold to you, there is hope. There are things that we can do to help you. So just give us a call and we can walk you through how to fix some of those issues.
Oh, good. Very good. Because the first broker or advisor that you worked with probably will give you that same opinion over and over. No, it works. But having another set of eyeballs on it, you might get a better perspective, especially considering what your needs are.
Just because it works, it doesn't mean it's the best thing for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Just because it functions doesn't mean it works. Right. Very good. Right. All right. Here's how to reach Stonebridge, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Now, that's also, you can help somebody refinance their retirement if they've maybe have a pension and they're not sure how to structure this. Am I right in saying that, Jeff?
So if you had if you have an annuity that, let's say you bought an annuity 5 years ago, and it's an index annuity where it's kind of like what I described, where the market goes up, you go up to a cap.
Right.
Market goes down, you don't lose anything, and maybe you're taking income from it. Rates have gotten much, much better over the last 5 years. So there would be an opportunity probably to refinance that, get it into another annuity, the same type of annuity, but it would have a higher cap.
Freshen it up
and
a
I've
little.
seen some over the last year where like the cap is like 1.5%. So that means if everything goes perfectly right, you can make 1.5%.
Oh, that's not a good. Those were different
No, it's
conditions.
terrible.
This is different now.
Well, yeah, we talk about losing money safely. You're losing money safely because you're not keeping up with inflation. You could refinance that, put it into another type of annuity, and maybe the cap's 8%. So then, okay, we can keep up with inflation and we can grow on top of that. But yeah, I mean, we have to take a look at it. Even from an income perspective, if you have an annuity that you're drawing income from, income rates have gone up. So you might be in a position where if you're getting, $12,000 a year from your annuity, from your pension that you created, maybe you could get $15,000 a year or $14,000 a year. We just have to look at it and see what do you have in there.
Okay.
And how much can we get from what you have?
Okay, so
and just do a comparison. It's easy.
It's easy to do, right, for you?
Yeah, very
so
simple.
this is part of, I guess, the discussion. Are people diversified in how they create the income for their retirement?
Yeah. Well, and making sure that that's income that you need. To John's point, if those are IRAs and you don't need the money and you're paying for a rider that you're not using, an income rider, well, why are we doing that? You don't need income. You're paying, let's say it's 1% to have this rider. So essentially you're paying the insurance company to be able to take out your own money.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
No.
So lots of different things that you need to look at, but this is exactly why we created our process, because there's, like John said earlier, there is a place for annuities. There isn't a bad tool, but it is just a tool. It's not the tool, it's a tool. So if we take you through the process, we're going to look at all of these different things and see, okay, in the annuity, I'm going to put the amount of money that needs to go to the annuity. That's what I'm going to put in the annuity. I'm not going to put more than that or less than that. We're going to put in the right amount. I'm going to keep as much liquid as I can, because then as things adapt, as things come up in your retirement years, again, we have the money, the flexibility to adjust with those things.
And so are there fees in these things, annuities?
Like Jeff was saying, if it has an income rider, there's typically a fee for that.
Okay.
The annuities that we use, typically they don't have fees associated with them. Variable annuities are notorious for having higher fees.
So we don't like the variable type rate.
Well, I'm not going to say we don't like them. There's a place for it.
Oh, just like every other.
It's a
Okay,
tool.
all right.
Yeah, it's like there's a tool for it. They're all tools that need to be used properly. But if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail all of a sudden. So you want to make sure you're using the proper tool. If there's a need for an income and we need to secure the income, we'll look at an annuity with an income rider. Or if it's an annuity where we're just kind of hedging against that sequence of return risk, then we're looking at more of a growth. Like, okay, we'll take withdrawals from the annuity should the market be down, or inevitably when it is down, and depending on when that is in retirement. So everyone's situation is a little bit different, and it needs to be built for every individual.
Right.
If you do have that variable annuity, so if your advisor told you we're getting a guaranteed 6 or a guaranteed 7%, that sounds really good. If you've heard that, I would encourage you to give us a call and just tell the person that answers the phone, I've got a variable annuity I want you to review. Go to our website and schedule an appointment, and just in the notes put, I've got a variable annuity I want just to be reviewed. We can look at that. you're probably paying way more in fees than what you know.
Good. Very good. So here's that number to get it done. 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146, or the website is stonebridgeiwm.com, stonebridgeiwm.com. I'm sure you could find it just doing a Google search, Stonebridge Wealth Systems.
Did you ever think your retirement would be shared with our government? It's true. Your traditional 401k, IRA, pension, or similar retirement accounts are like a partnership with the IRS. Simply put, they want their tax dollars, and you have them. With our latest tax calculator, you can plug in your own numbers while sitting at home. To find out what your future tax liability could be, scan the QR code or go to stonebridgetaxbill.com.
Hey, welcome back to our show, Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems, Jeff Gove and John Ternus in the house. I was just thinking, just to wrap up what we've kind of been talking about the whole show, if someone's not confident in a retirement plan that they already have, they should really get with you to see if it's going to hold up over time. Because maybe it was created a while ago, or maybe it was created by someone who's not completely, balanced. But your firm is completely balanced, and you can look at all the points on the Retirement Compass with the team. The number is 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. So they can perform that stress test with you, right? You can perform the stress test with them to make sure that that money's going to last, Mr. Gove.
Yeah, and I think it's important to know that very rarely, I don't know if I've ever had a situation where someone came in and it was like, you were doing everything wrong.
Okay.
We got to scrap everything that you've done and start from scratch. That just doesn't happen. Typically, it's going to be small tweaks, but those small tweaks have a massive impact on the overall plan. We're looking at the tax plan, or maybe it's a healthcare plan or the legacy plan. Like, how do we get this money to your kids as efficiently as possible?
Yes, please.
It isn't like a wholesale changes. It's small tweaks that, like I said, have a massive difference or can make a massive difference. I think, for a lot of people, that's the hesitation of calling. It's, maybe we're embarrassed because we haven't started planning. We've saved, but without purpose. I'm saving because I should. I don't know how much I should save or if I've saved enough. It's okay. Like, we can help you with that. Or it's, I don't want someone to just tell me I'm doing everything wrong.
Of course not.
We're not here to do that.
No.
We're here to test what you're doing. We want to make as few changes as possible. But we're going to be honest with you and tell you, if you make this tweak, here's the result. Here's how that's going to impact your retirement. Here's the things it's going to allow you to do in retirement just by making these small tweaks.
Oh, that's good. That's very reassuring. And it is embarrassing sometimes when you get into a situation where you don't know, but the other person does know all the details. It can be uncomfortable.
Right.
I.e. buying a car. Okay. For a woman. All right. Here we go. Got some scenarios here on deck. Somebody who saved about $1 million, but doesn't know how much they can safely spend monthly, Mr. Ternus. So how do we turn this savings into income?
So savings into income for that $1 million. Well, Mr. Bingle would say you could spend about $40,000 in 1994 or $47,000 keeping up with inflation. But you got to consider kind of the three pillars of your retirement plan. You have your Social Security, you have a pension if you have that, and then you have your savings. Well, maybe it makes sense on your unique situation to delay taking Social Security a little bit. So then you're going to spend a little bit more out of your retirement because maybe your Social Security benefit's higher and you want to make sure your spouse has that higher benefit.
Which is such a great plan, yes.
Yeah, so you want to look at it at your situation because you want to figure those other two legs in that tripod of retirement or the three legs of retirement or pillars. We got to come up with something there. But whatever you're calling those three aspects of your retirement. So
the three legs of the stool.
Three legs of the stool, the tripod.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
That's not the right image. I was thinking
of a three-legged stool ever. But
dog with three legs.
Maybe.
There's three legs on this stool.
All right.
Okay.
You take one out, you're
going to fall over.
Well, then, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the three legs of your retirement stool that we're on. So you want to look at it. So maybe, you don't turn on Social Security right away. So you're going to take maybe 6% out that first couple of years out of your retirement. Also, it all depends where that $1 million is located as well. Because if you're retiring early and that's in your IRA, well, now we got to look at some other aspects, or if it's in the taxable account where it is. So it all depends where the money's being pulled, kind of when you're going to turn on those other two legs of our retirement tripod, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So it's not as simple as just going the $40,000 in 1994, keeping up with inflation, or $47,000 in 2025, like Mr. Bingle said. Bingen.
Bingen is the name of the author we're referring to.
Bingen. Yep.
All right. And what's the title of his book, by the way? I forgot.
His latest book is A Richer Retirement, Supercharging the 4% Rule. So
Supercharging the 4% Rule.
Yeah, it's written for the retiree, not just the financial advisor. So.
Right, because his original report was really to help.
Yeah, it's technical in the Journal of Financial Planning. So.
Right, very good. All right. Now, if you want to talk to John about this, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Say, hey, all right, I've got my money. Let's get this done. Withdrawing income, but people get nervous when that market drops or when the balance goes down, in other words, in their retirement plan. So how do people adjust withdrawals, or how do you help them behaviorally adjust to not watching the number? Who wants to attack that?
Yeah, I can jump in on this. So we talked about this a little bit in earlier segments, but when you're looking at withdrawing from, let's say it's your IRA and you've got it invested in the market, and let's say you're a DIY person that, I don't want to pay an advisor. I've got a 401k. They don't charge very much. So I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to just take my distributions from there. It's totally fine. But then you've got to answer questions like this for yourself. Like we talked about earlier, are you the type of person that when you see the balance go down by $50,000, as your accounts grow, what's interesting is, 5% of a bigger number is a bigger number, right? So you got $1 million compared to 20,000, you lose 5% of 20,000. It's like, I can make that up pretty quickly. You lose 5% of $1 million. It's like, I just lost a car.
I'm following. Yes.
So can you look at your statement and internally deal with that, knowing, okay, it's just 5%, it's going to come back. A lot of people can't do it. We separate out where we get ourselves in a position where I lost $50,000 or I lost $80,000. I can't tolerate any more loss. So I'm going to pull my money out of the market. I'm going to still withdraw because I'm retired, right? I still need to pay my bills. But now you're in a position where you're making nothing, right? I mean, you're making zero. The market goes up. You're not making any more because you pulled your money out of the market, but you're drawing down your balance. Now we got to figure out how to get back in. I think that's the most important thing, is the behavioral finance of having a plan that you can stick with. And that's what we offer here at Stonebridge, as we help you put together a plan that you can stick with, that through the good years and the down years, because it doesn't matter how well we invest the money, there's going to be down years, right? We can try to mitigate those as best we can, and we do, but there's going to be years where the market's down. But what we found is by having that plan, it gives you the ability to ride that out. Looking back in March, the market goes down. So yeah, people freak out. And if you watch the news, it's always amplified as well. So it's, market might be down 5% and you would have thought that the sky is falling.
Truly.
Right. Yeah. The market's probably going to end,
Right.
It's not the case.
Yeah, this March, there's a lot more calls, I think a lot more fears in March 2026 versus March and April of 2025, which, and if you look at the market was down more last year, but
Yeah.
there wasn't a war. So
It wasn't a war, right?
Yeah. Well, and the problem is, like, if you couldn't tolerate that, if you're watching the news and you think I'm losing so much money, I'm going to get out. Well, it recovered very, very quickly. So you would have missed all of that recovery. I had a client here in Kearney that they did come in and they said, I just want to move everything to CDs. They had purchased some individual stocks on their own. They were their decisions, and those stocks didn't do well in March. And they're drawing from their portfolio. They said, we just want to move everything to CDs. We just can't take it anymore. So we actually, after talking through it, it's counterintuitive, but we actually increased their risk exposure in March. They had some money sitting in a money market that at one time it was paying over 5%. Now it was between 4 and 5. We took that money out of the money market and put it on the equity side, so it's more aggressive. And by doing that, that money market piece didn't lose anything. Now we recovered a lot quicker. They sent me an email, I think it was 2 weeks ago, just thanking me which was really nice. I mean, you don't get a lot of those, thanking me for walking them through that and helping them avoid self-sabotage by pulling their money out of the market.
Right. Very good. Mr. Gove to the rescue on that thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
he had a cape.
Yeah.
All right, here's the number to reach, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. That is such smart strategy because people do. The psychology of it, they hate to see that balance going down.
Well, and it's different for everyone when you're like to cut the emotion when you're looking at your own money.
Your own money.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's good to have somebody on your side that can walk you through. If we make emotional decisions, typically those aren't going to be good decisions.
No.
And that's how traditional finance is based off of. We're logical and we're not. It's all behavioral. But then when the market is down, looking at your plan and be like, okay, the market's down 20%. Am I still on track to meet all my goals? And that's where having a plan allows you to be like, yes, I'm still on track. I can sleep better at night.
That's good. And you can call for reassurance. And if you haven't even started this process yet, here's the number, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. That concludes the Retirement Compass Radio Show with Jeff Gove and John Ternus and me, Jackie Selby. Have a great rest of your weekend, fellas.
You too.